your value proposition. What is it that you are providing to the marketplace? What value propositions do you have? Now, take note. A good business usually has a number of value propositions, not just one.
Hello, guys. Welcome to episode 3 of the Founders Video Podcast.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hope you're doing great. I'm here. This is Chris, and we have.
RP on this side.
Okay.
How are you, Chris?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Great.
Great. Okay. So now, for this episode, we will talk about when to stick with your business model, when to pivot, and when to totally change your business or
When
give
to
up on your
totally close
business.
down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm pretty excited about this one. This topic is brought to us by the Side Hustlers.
The side hustler. So on episode 1, they commented on our video, and based on that, we got to this the topic of this episode. So let me just read it really quick. Their comment. So very informative show,
Mhm.
real people and actual stories. Looking forward for another episode. A quick question for our entrepreneur friends. What pivot plan can you recommend for micro businesses, food and kiosk type, yung mga tindahan, who also have a significant portion of their cash due to too much lockdown, and what remains is the actual store, kiosk with debt, rent, and now starting over again?
Excellent question. Thank you very much, Side Hustlers.
Yes, and guys, you can check out their the YouTube page.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
saw it. Looks like they have a lot of good content.
Mhm.
So you guys should check it out, and hopefully,
they do a lot of live streaming also. It's for
Yeah.
free, I think.
yeah.
And so we'll link them out. We'll link them up below. So if you want to check them out, just check the description box on this one, the show notes, and we'll put them there.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So getting to the question, now before we answer, their question and whether to pivot and all those other options,
Mhm.
what kind of mindset do you think an entrepreneur has to have during this period?
During this pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so as an entrepreneur, iba-iba, obviously. During this pandemic, I do understand there are industries, there are certain businesses that are hit more than others.
Mhm.
Like for example, we do have a lot of clients right now in the food and beverage industry. Now, when the COVID scare happened, when the pandemic happened, medyo, I don't want to say benefited, pero they even saw an increase pa in terms of their sales.
Yeah.
Now, as far as other industries, like for example, the beauty industry, the industry na si Weni, my wife is in, that's actually one of the hardest hit industries there is kasi talagang total close sila. No balita yet as of today. As of the
Mhm.
day na we are shooting this video, wala pang balita kung kailan sila pwedeng mag-reopen kasi like for example, if you would consider a facial business,
Yeah.
having social distancing is almost impossible there kasi for you to clean somebody's face you need to use your
Up close.
hands.
Mhm.
So you need to be really right beside that person, so social distancing is almost impossible.
Mm.
So I do understand na some industries or some businesses are hit more than others. So with regard to that, it's hard to define the kind of mindset na kailangan meron ng isang entrepreneur during this pandemic. Okay, however, I would say this. It is extremely important na even with this pandemic happening, you shouldn't panic. Okay, so that's one very important mindset.
Yeah.
Okay, if anything, this is the time for you to sit down, relax, and really let everything sink in. Review your business, review whether or not your business is something that can weather this particular storm.
Okay. Very good advice, and I think in general that's a kind of mindset you should have in business. Not only because of the pandemic, but because that's how you should always act. So you try to stay calm, and
Correct.
then you try to have the mindset that you have to look at the market and try to adapt
Correct.
to whatever the market is telling you, right?
Correct. And to those listeners who are thinking na it's easy to say kasi syempre yung business ninyo is pandemic proof. It's not that we're pandemic proof. It's just that kahit papaano we can sit easy with the fact na we've done certain things na allows us to do well even though there are these certain things happening all around us. Now, I'm not trying to discount the fact na yung iba saying na if there's a perfect time to panic, now would be the time kasi nga some of these entrepreneurs, syempre, ito yung pinaka-inaasahan nila
Mm.
as far as, providing for their family, for themselves, or whoever man na nakaasa sa kanila. I'm not discounting that. What I am saying is this. Kailangan kasi as an entrepreneur, no, like what you said, that's actually pretty good advice. Kailangan all the time, you should be calm, collected, and able to make decisions not based on panic, not based on some things that may make you emotional.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a very good time to practice that. I understand na maraming anxious, maraming scared even. I've been invited into a lot of Zoom webinars right now, literally just to talk to entrepreneurs na natatakot for their businesses. So I do understand that. It's just that I know some may say na it's easier said than done, but really, as far as mindset is concerned, try your best not to panic. Now is the best time for you to review everything about your business.
Yeah. Yeah, very good advice. And I think because it sounds easy, right? It sounds, oh, just don't panic. But there, of course, there are certain ways or steps that you can do to minimize it, I guess, right? So one way is to write everything down, right? So let's say you write down your business plan, you write down whatever it is about your business, so that you can somewhat look at it from a holistic perspective.
Yeah. Actually, a few weeks ago, I released a document specifically for this.
Yeah.
It's funny enough, that document is called The Entrepreneur's Guide to the New Normal. So what that document does is it helps people, specifically business owners, specifically entrepreneurs who have businesses that are looking to reopen their businesses during this new normal, during this post-COVID. I'm not sure if we can even say na post-COVID kasi we are still very much in it. So, ayun. So this document is really helpful, guys. Again, if some of our listeners or viewers, depending on how you're seeing this or how you're consuming this content, is interested in that, we're gonna link that up down below so that you can download that document.
Yeah.
And try to see. It's for free. By the way, I'm not sure if I mentioned that. It's for free, and try to see whether or not you can use that document to help you out. Because in that document, it'll help you look into not just your business but yourself as an entrepreneur, and try to see if your business is quote unquote COVID ready.
Yeah, yeah. I know. Of course, I've seen a document. So to break down the document, you break it down to 3 parts, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And can you tell us more? Like, how did you break it down?
Okay, so the first part about the Entrepreneur's Guide to the New Normal talks about the entrepreneur first. Okay, because before reopening any business, one must first look into his or herself first as the entrepreneur. Obviously, if the entrepreneur is not well, then the business is secondary. You must first look at yourself. Okay, and in looking at yourself, I go into 3 specific things that you can review in that document. The first one is your physical health.
Yeah.
So when I say physical health, this refers to you specifically whether or not you were affected directly or indirectly by COVID. Okay, what does that mean? If directly, ikaw ba nahawaan ka ng COVID? Okay, if yes, naka-recover ka na ba? If indirectly, hindi ka nahawaan ng COVID, pero naapektuhan ka ba as far as your health is concerned? Say for example, baka meron kang kamag-anak na nahawaan, and because of that, you had to do, daily errands na may have affected you in other ways. Baka mamaya ikaw nag-suffer yung yung personal health mo, not necessarily COVID connected, but it affected you somehow. The second one is your mental health. Now, not a lot of people are talking about this, but this is actually a very big deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Thank you. So, as far as yourself is concerned, you must first need to understand something as simple as, am I ready to go back out there and reopen my business? Or do I maybe need to speak with someone? Something as simple as maybe my parents or my best friend or my husband, my wife, my children, whoever that confidant is. Or if you need professional help, that's also possible. So that's the second thing. Did this pandemic affect you mentally? That will, hinder you from running your business at full potential.
Yeah, I think a lot of people take that for granted, right? Like,
Yeah.
you kind of downplay your mental health. A lot of people say, "Tiis mo na lang," or you just push through it. But I think you should
Kasi
really
as
take time.
Filipinos, meron
Yeah.
tayong pride eh.
Yeah,
Na no offense, I know you're half American, but meron tayong pride na in the US, panay sila suicide. Dito sa Pilipinas, normal lang yan. Meron tayong ganyang klaseng
so half
pride.
pride na lang sa akin, ganun. Ha?
That's funny.
Okay. So yeah, and but I think it's kind of like a lot more people are considering it, but I don't think it's as widespread. So definitely you should look into yourself first, right? Like
Yeah.
I think on the form you say that if you're gonna go to war, right? You should first make sure that you yourself are capable of doing it, capable of leading. Because if you are at a state where your mental health is not addressed, then you might make rash decisions about your business.
Yeah, that is very true. It's actually pretty good advice. So that's it. Second, I'm sorry, that's just the
first
second one. Second one. First one is physical health.
Oh, yeah,
Second
yeah.
one is mental health. Third one is very realistic. Not a lot of people talk about it again also, but again, it is very, very much on the table. It is a big part of the process. The third one is your financial health. Okay, you need to be realistic with this one. I mean, you're the only one that you would be lying to, if in any case, because it's your business after all. Did COVID affected you in such a way that your financial health or your financial capabilities are somehow compromised? Okay, by that what I mean is, do you maybe or can you still maintain your overhead? Do you still have that business war chest, that backup that every business owner should have, or were you able to dip into that chest or maybe use some of it, maybe even all of it, because of this pandemic? Because I mean, again, you have to close down your offices, so obviously you need to eat, you need to provide.
Yeah.
Maybe you've used up some of your resources that was originally reserved for your business. You need to understand that part as well.
Yeah, and since it's kind of gonna be it's kind of unknown, right? In the next coming months, you should at least allot, a certain amount of money towards like your own
Yes.
safety first. You and your family's safety or
Yeah,
resources.
security, yeah.
Security, exactly. So definitely, you should only consider funds like after that. Going towards your business and maybe even funds towards reinvesting or repivoting some of your resources.
That's true. That's correct.
Also, to I guess add on to that, you really should have a clear picture of what you need to pay, for your bills, for
You need to have a certain amount of allowance.
yes,
Yeah.
and then if you can, call these lenders or landlord, maybe you can get like a deferred payment or stuff
Maybe
like that.
even some discounts. I
Discounts.
do see some landlords, God bless them, giving their lessees
Yeah,
a few months, 1 to a few months of discounts. So that's pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
try and see if you can maybe look into that.
yeah. I actually know some people who say that they would have given a 1 month free, but because the lessee never asked for it, like they go and say, oh, DTI said that's 6 months deferred payment. So because they asked for the 6
Oh, yeah?
months,
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
because they asked
okay.
for the 6 months, they never gave the. Because
Oh,
they
really?
asked, yeah. So it
I'll see how much that hurt you.
yeah. So
It
it
never hurts to
really
ask, guys.
would not hurt to ask.
Yeah, never hurts to ask.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, actually, tayo dito, and I'm very happy with how Sir Mandy, the owner of Displace Founders,
Yeah,
he gave us 1 month free.
yeah, yeah.
And this is Prime Makati. Our rent is not to be overlooked, so that 1 month free goes a very long
Yeah,
way. So
helped
yeah,
out
I'm
a lot.
very thankful. Thank you,
Mm.
Sir Mandy.
Yeah. So, yeah. So after financials,
There you go. So that's module 1. So module 1 again looks at the entrepreneur. So entrepreneur, 3 specific areas: your physical health, mental health, and your financial health. After that, we move on to module 2. Module 2 of that document talks about your business. Basically, it dissects your business as a whole. It talks about the first one. I think it talks about your your value proposition. What is it that you are providing to the marketplace? What value propositions do you have? Now take note, a good business usually has a number of value propositions, not just one. For example, if you're a fast food industry, aside from being fast in serving the food, maybe you have certain kinds of food that you are the only one that's able to offer in that particular area. That's one, and that's another. I mean, and maybe also aside from that, something as simple as being consistent with the taste. That's a value proposition. When people expect something, they get it. That's actually a pretty strong value proposition. That's what a lot of fast foods, even the big names like McDonald's, Jollibee, Burger King, a lot of these big brands, that's one of their biggest value propositions. They have training after training after training just to make sure that the product is consistent each and every time a customer asks for it. I remember one time you and we had a conversation. You told me something about Jollibee.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing that Jollibee has never done to you is that they never disappointed you as far as what you expect from the taste.
Yeah, as far as their chicken joy. So personally, every time I go to a Jollibee, I always eat the same quality of chicken joy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always around 80 to 100%.
Yeah.
So what you have in your mind is always met, at least most of the time, 90% of the time. So people overlook that, but that's actually a very strong value proposition.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just an example. So again, first part of module 2, looking into your business as a whole, the first part would be your value proposition. What is it that you offer to the marketplace? Then after that, I think I talk about pricing there as well.
Yeah.
We review your pricing as far as, is it fairly priced? I mean, not related to pandemic or this pandemic rather. Is it fairly priced? Is it priced correctly? Is it priced accurately as far as what your value propositions are? And then second part of that is your pricing with regard to this pandemic. Do you maybe need to adjust a couple of things with regard to your menu, with regard to your product line, with regard to your pricing? Do you maybe need to increase a little bit because you are in the industry that you can consider high risk? If, I don't know, maybe you're delivering stuff, picking up stuff from different places? Or do you maybe need to look at lowering down your prices because it's not that high risk and you are looking to tap into the market that a lot of people are sort of suffering right now, quote unquote, as far as financials is concerned? Maybe you want to cater to that market. So that's the second thing that I talk about your business in the second module of that document.
Yeah, and then with the piggyback on the pricing. So you also have to consider like your expenses. Do you have additional expenses because you are now open? Also, do you forecast to get less customers? So let's say you're a restaurant and you usually rely on dine-in customers.
Yeah.
Because you can't get the dine-in with lower sales. Can you still make your fixed cost and still earn off of that? So you need to really revisit your pricing
Strategies. Yeah, correct. Thank you. That's good.
Okay, so that's basically it. So I think before you answer like whether to stick with your business model or pivot
Well, actually, there's a third part of that module third module in that document, since we went through it already. If you don't mind, I want to talk about So the third module in that free Entrepreneur's Guide to the New Normal document that I made, which has, by the way, to this day, I think has around 2,700, 2,800 downloads, whatever. The third thing that I talk about, so again, the first thing is we talk about the entrepreneur. Second is we talk about your business. Third thing is we talk about the story, your story, okay, as the business. So this is basically marketing. It gives you ideas on what your strategy should be as far as marketing is concerned in the new normal. So I give out a simple strategy there, making the entrepreneur realize that right now you should not be selling as far as your marketing is concerned. I mean, okay, do not put out videos and posts saying buy here, come here, all that stuff. right now you should be reinforcing um, the safety, quote unquote, things that you are doing for your business, and you need to show your customers that your consumers, your target market, your client base, your clientele, they should be seeing that. And one of the best ways for you to do that would be via your social media platforms, wherever you are present. So it gives you, so the third part again is the story. It gives you an idea on what story you should be creating for your business in the new normal.
Yeah, very
So
good
there,
point.
so there it is, guys. So those are basically the three modules that I talk about in that document. So again, it's the Entrepreneur's Guide to the New Normal. It's for free. We'll link it. We'll link it up down below. So if you guys are interested in that, check it out.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it gives a good, I guess, plan on how to evaluate yourself and the business. So after that, after getting all that info, then maybe you can decide whether you will be sticking or pivoting or stopping the business.
Yeah.
So let's go by one. So when do you say, okay, I'm gonna stick through this business?
Again, it's a case-to-case scenario. You as the entrepreneur obviously would know what's best because you've been in this industry, long enough. It's your business. You should know the most about it than anyone else. So with that, that's again the decision of the entrepreneur. Before I get to that decision though of not sticking with it, the first thing that I would do if I was the business owner is I would first try and see if I've exhausted every type of strategy or move that I have, that I can employ rather for this business, for my business. Okay, like for example, as I observe the business landscape right now here in the Philippines, the on-demand things, the online game has increased dramatically.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will try and maybe look in if that's something that my business can tap into. I'll try and see if I've done everything that I can to have my brand present in that online game. So that's just one example. So I'm first going to look at all the possible avenues that I can try for my business and see if I have indeed tried them.
Okay. So do you suggest, like right off the bat, do you think we should just change stuff already, or like stick it out first, try to do whatever you did before, maybe tweak based on like cleaning and making everything safe, and then do changes? Or like, I guess because you're saying that since the entrepreneur knows their business, they know right away whether it should be, I guess,
not necessarily right away, but because really there's only 4 options that you can do.
yeah.
Okay, the first one is obviously stick it out. Okay, keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so write it out. The first one. Second one is for you to close it. To close. So if it's not working, just close the business. Third is for you to do a pivot, mini pivot. Sorry, it's not a pivot exactly. It's more of an expansion. If you can maybe look into other areas that your business has not tapped into, maybe you can consider that. And fourth, last one would probably be just to, pivot completely to an entirely new industry, entirely new business. Try and see if there are some things in your existing business that you can maybe use, some resources that you can reallocate, so to speak. Okay, so those are really the only 4 options that you can do. Now, as the entrepreneur, I would trust you, obviously, being the owner and has been in this industry for however long it has been. I would trust you to make that decision, understanding what's best for your business.
Okay. Very good point.
Thank you.
So as far as as I gather, as far as whether you want to stick with your business, model, basically try everything you can. Other options, I guess. So whether it be online, whether it be other marketing techniques, or just try what options are available.
Yeah.
Okay. I think too a good option or a good way to do that as well is to actually ask your customers directly.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point.
I think for you to know whether what decision you should be making
Mm-hmm.
for your business, why not just contact your customer directly? If it'd be best if before this you actually create a database where you can contact them easily. If not, your customers right now try to see if you can message them or somewhat contact them, so you can get it from them. They will tell you what they need or what's happening.
Perfect advice. Actually, that's pretty good advice, Chris. Excuse me, I'm sorry. As far as the businesses right now, a lot of businesses, in terms of their marketing, they fail in one thing, and I talk about this in the talk that I gave recently in. Can I mention it? No, never mind.
No.
All right. So I gave a talk recently, and you were there, and I talk about how digital marketing, specifically social media marketing, is overlooked by a lot of people in the personal space area. Okay, so a lot of people, they don't understand that social media marketing is a personal process. And why? Simply because when you talk about social media, most of the time you are referring to an app in your phone. Okay, for whether it be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. Okay, so when you say social media, you are referring to your personal space, because if, let's say for example, if you open your Facebook page, most of the time the people in that page, the people you're following, rather, in your profile, are people that you are personally that you personally like. That's why you follow them in the first place. Then the people that you talk there, the people that you chat with, video call with, all that good stuff, they're normally your family, your friends, your high school friends, all that. So it's actually a personal process. So as far as brands are concerned, if they can tap into that, something connected to what you were saying earlier, why not just ask your customers up front, guys, do you think we should reopen? Or do you think we can still give you what you need? Do you think there is still room for us in your life? Something, sometimes that's actually that's extremely beneficial, because your customers now can relate to you on a personal level. Sometimes it's not too bad, although there are very few times that I would actually recommend it. But it's not too bad to let them know that you yourself, you are struggling. Okay, but again, just to clarify that, sort of a disclaimer, I don't really recommend that, but it can work. Okay, because a lot of us na lang, ikaw at ako, we like to, the brands that we use are brands that we like to identify with,
Yeah.
that we feel some kind of connection with. Okay, and that's true for almost everyone, if not in fact everyone. Okay, so your suggestion of just ask your client base and get in touch with them, be personal with them, ask them how they're doing, all that stuff. Again, like what I said earlier, no selling, just basically asking them how they're doing. Do you think that we still can give you the things that that we gave you before? Is there still space for us in your lives today? And that's in itself a pretty helpful move, because that'll give you two things. Number one, it'll give you the personal connection that I was talking about earlier, and number two, that'll give you some sort of a focus group,
Yeah.
in the sense that your customers themselves will be the one to tell you whether or not you are still addressing a need.
Yeah, yeah. But it is important to know that if ever the case that you do get feedback from your customers and your customers say, no, I don't want your product anymore or your service, it doesn't mean that, you end there.
Yeah.
Because it is possible that the customers you're asking are not your customers that you're trying to target as of now, as of the post
Correct.
COVID period.
Plus, it's also possible that they just don't need you right now.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of consumers, to quote the great Steve Jobs, consumers or the market does not know what they want until we show them what they want.
Yeah.
Okay, so, very powerful words right there. You know how we practice
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So again, it's just one aspect, and if I may suggest also, since COVID hit everyone, right? A lot of industries, a lot of people are trying to find ways to innovate as well, right? other countries are doing it. So it may be helpful for you to actually, be informed of industries in other countries. If you need to join Facebook groups or
Yeah. Very powerful.
articles, read articles about what are other people doing uh, here or outside the country, and then see if that's applicable to your business right now.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Because trust me, guys, you are not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in this battle, in this problem that is happening in the world right now, you are not the only one. Chances are there are others like you. Sometimes maybe even by the hundreds, thousands, maybe even millions, depending on what kind of industry you're in, hurting or looking for answers just like you.
Yeah.
So joining a group may be very helpful.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier now. I mean,
Yeah.
few clicks, few searches, you can probably get the information that you need, or find the group that will definitely help you with that.
I
Okay.
agree.
So anything to add for the sticking with your business model?
No, that's it. So with sticking with your business model, I guess obviously financial health
Yes,
plays a big factor.
that is very
Because
important.
waiting it out, because that's another thing actually. Yes, so there is something I'd like to add. So that's another thing as far as considering to pivot or go into a completely new business. Sometimes that's not even the thing that you need to be looking at. Okay, sometimes it's as simple as understanding when this will all be over, and understanding that your business, while it may not be doing well right now, there is still a big need for it that will eventually still be there. It does not disappear. Like again, let me go back to the example that I was talking about earlier. Let's talk about my wife's industry, which is the beauty and wellness industry. One of the most lucrative businesses there is. Tremendously hit right now because again, people can't really go to these clinics, to these places where they can avail of stuff to make them, more beautiful, quote unquote. But this industry will not die. We can be sure of that.
Yeah, I don't think people will stop, trying to
Yeah.
look good,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Uh,
The vanity industry is one of those industries right now that is, even if we are in the pandemic era, pandemic season, or whatever you want to call it, it is still one of those businesses that you can expect to really just boom right after all of this ends.
Yeah.
Okay, like for example, something as simple as getting a haircut. Okay, when all of this lifts, how many people do you think misses going to their favorite salons or barber shops and getting getting a clean look?
Yeah.
So, and that's just one example.
And you see a lot of like do it your own ones like at in Facebook, right? A lot of videos,
Correct.
their wife or their husband is cutting their partner's hair, but
Mm-hmm.
I think, well, personally, I think it's unlikely that even after they can go to a salon, they can go to, they have the capability of doing that, they would still ask their partner to to cut their hair, right? So I think it is also the same with the beauty industry.
Mm-hmm.
People won't stop trying to look good. In other industries, though, like the tourism industry, I know it's taking a hit right now, but I think that people won't stop,
Yeah.
wanting to travel.
Yeah, making memories.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think it may look bad right now, but there are angles where if you stick it out, you might, when everything's done, then that's the time when it will really flourish or it'll get back on track.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, there's this article going around right now. I think this is from Bloomberg. It discusses how what's this business, the Airbnb, discusses how the Airbnb business or company is counting on a post-pandemic boom. Okay, that's actually the term that they use there. They strongly believe that the moment traveling restrictions rather is lifted, they strongly believe that people will go to back to their traveling habits a lot more than previously, because now more than ever in that article, it shows how people are now understanding more than ever how important making these memories are.
Yeah.
Enjoying life, because maybe you got lucky today, you don't know what'll happen tomorrow. Something to that effect. That's the entire plot line that they're counting on. So, and again, the tourism industry is one of the biggest hit industries in the world right now, not just this country but everywhere,
Yeah.
because obviously all flights are canceled. No one is looking to go to the beach right now, even though it's smack dab in the middle of summer. And yeah, and even with all of that going on, there's this article from a very big and robust company counting on a post-pandemic traveling boom. So there you go. So sometimes it's just a matter of you waiting it out. Okay, now I understand it's not that easy to do for everyone. There's rent, there's the people that you need to that count on you, and at the same time, you yourself, you need to be making money, obviously. And aside from that, I understand how hard that can be. That's when you, as an entrepreneur, your style, your in Tagalog discarte, will really flourish. Okay, the good thing is there are a lot of things that you can do. This is not the 1990s, guys, that we love so much. One of those people that, whoo, 90s, we rock. Fine, yes, I admit I'm a 90s kid. I love the 90s, the best decade ever. But the one thing we didn't have back then was the internet that they have today, or that we have today. We're still alive, so we're still here. The internet that we have today. Okay, so as far as the business is concerned, it's actually not that hard to rebound anymore. There are a lot of things that you can look into to help you as far as getting your business back on track.
Yeah, yeah, very good advice. And I think to that point, we can go to the second question, right? When is a good time to pivot? When should you decide? Okay, I'll pivot some of my resources towards something else, or like totally reallocate all your resources towards a new strategy or new venture.
So again, that's up to the entrepreneur. All the stuff that I mentioned earlier, his or her being knowledgeable about his or her business and understanding when that right time is. Okay, but financial health again plays a very big factor here. Obviously, you can have all the fighting spirit that you want. If the money is just not there to back you up, then sometimes, even if you don't want to, you need to, I'm afraid, surrender. Okay? Or maybe not even surrender. Consider
Yeah, consider.
surrendering and looking into other stuff.
Yeah, because let's say you think that pivoting would give you a good opportunity, then you can consider also like outside, investment if it's there, or friends and family. I mean, if like I said, if the investment is and if the opportunity is that good. Now I think with pivoting, I think you shouldn't make any shouldn't make a decision from panic. I do suggest that you first write everything down. I'm a firm believer in writing everything down because it gives you like a holistic view of the situation. Now, when you do pivot, it can be like a small thing. Let's say if you're like in a restaurant business, that's you focusing more on delivery, or you focusing on pickup, right? Them picking up your
Yeah.
the food.
Yeah. So maybe do a tiny pivot.
Yeah.
A little pivot. More of an expansion. Look into an area that you may have not maybe tapped yet,
Yeah.
and try and see if you can tap into it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty good advice. I'm not sure if you remember, but a few weeks ago, or a month ago, or a few months ago, San Miguel,
Yeah. Yeah.
they made this tiny pivot, sort of, and converted some of their facilities.
Yeah.
Instead of making, I think it was gin.
Gin.
Instead of making gin, they converted that facility to make rubbing alcohol. Okay, so as far as their product is concerned, they don't really do that there, but they had the facility to do it. So even though it's a completely different industry, it's not in the syntax world. They were able to pivot into something that the world, the market, really needs right now. So maybe look into that as well.
Yeah.
Regarding what resources you already have, maybe there's something that you can use to to fulfill a different need.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, it's unlikely that San Miguel would totally stop making their gin,
Yeah.
right? But
Plus,
it
that's
is.
something that I think we can both agree that the moment this thing is over,
Yeah.
it'll skyrocket like heck.
Yeah. So but it did fulfill, or it did give them income.
Yeah.
Um,
Tremendous income.
yeah. I think you saw somewhere it may have given more income than
Yeah,
than their
It-
original product.
Yes, because they were catering to the entire Philippines, to the entire country. They were like the country's biggest wholesaler, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened there, and this is I can't back this up, but I saw an article again about that, saying that they're considering now to permanently keep that particular facility producing rubbing alcohol
Instead of
instead of gin. I think they're looking to expand somewhere else for the gin aspect of that game. But for now, at least I think it's easy to say until the end of this year,
yeah.
that'll be something that is going to be in high demand.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be highly sought after by the market. So as far as that pivot is concerned, those guys are geniuses.
Yeah, and they acted fast, right?
Yeah, they
it's,
acted fast. Plus,
but
it again, the story.
Mm.
It showed, or at least the story that they were selling,
Yeah.
made it appear that they are now acting in the interest of the public.
Exactly, because when I heard that, I saw their statement like, because there's a shortage of alcohol, we're gonna change our factories
Correct.
to,
Mhm.
and then I remember thinking, ang bait naman nila.
Oo, ang
They're
galing.
they're sacrificing their income for the Filipino people.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't mean to demonize them for what they're
Yeah,
doing.
no.
Again, a business is a business.
Mhm.
You need to earn for you to be able to do good.
Yeah, and we really needed the
And
alcohol. It's
it's
just that their plan of doing it, they also earned from it.
it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it ties back to what you were saying a while ago, that the story
yes,
is important, because
it is extremely
not only did they earn from it, but they got a better image overall, I think, from the brand.
out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So there's that. There is a complete pivot of your resources, and then sometimes it becomes your business. Like there are other, like Netflix didn't start out as a streaming company.
Yeah.
And stuff. So it sometimes it does become very lucrative for you, and you end up doing that. But so I think, just to sum it all up, you shouldn't panic. You should look at the industry.
Mhm.
You should look at your resources, see what you're capable of using,
Mhm.
and then also look into your financials. How much can you reinvest into the company without hurting your own?
Yes. Always have something
backup.
back for a backup for yourself and your family.
Mhm.
And if there are entrepreneurs right now who are in this predicament listening to this, okay, and I say this to you: if you have spent a long enough time in your industry, in your business, then I trust that you know stuff about it that not even I or a lot of people would know. Okay, so trust in yourself, trust in what you know about your industry. Sit down and think about the things that you know. You might even surprise yourself. You might be able to come up with strategies that you may very well never have come up with if you never really gave it the time to think about it. Okay, so trust in the things that you already know. Trust in your knowledge about your industry. Sit down, think about it, and understand, and trust that you will understand when the need arises, when the need to pivot, expand, wait it out, or close arises.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's really because it's hard to, as far as the question that was raised by the side hustlers, it's really hard to give that advice because I'm not an expert in everything. I can only tell you the businesses that I'm in.
Mhm.
Okay, so as far as industries that I am not a part of, there will always be somebody who's better than me. Not just somebody, there'll be a ton of people that'll be better than me. And if you are an entrepreneur in this space, you will be one of those people. You will know more than I as far as what to do when it hits you.
Mm-hmm.
So trust in yourself, be knowledgeable. That's what I can say though. For you to have that certain amount of confidence, the one that I'm talking about, that you will know what to do when it presents itself, you need to understand your industry inside and out. So for you to do that, you need to keep on studying, keep on learning. So even if it's something that you've spent, years and years and years in, you would still need to read up, watch a lot of videos about it, try and keep learning new things, because only when you know everything or almost everything about your business, only then will you be able to see clear strategies, clear ways on what to do when you need to do it.
Exactly. That's sage advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just another thing to add on the pivot. You should also consider that when you do make that pivot, there are other things about your business that might be affected. So let's say in the restaurant business, let's say you go into delivery,
Mm-hmm.
and then pick up. Does that mean that you have to change your menu? Like, do you have to change your menu towards items that are easily cooked?
Yeah.
That are items that are good for delivery. So stuff like that. Just really evaluate your whole business.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's the first step really.
Yeah.
Before considering to do anything, the first step is really just to sit down and evaluate your business. I know we give that a lot because obviously as business consultants, that's what we do almost on a daily basis.
Yeah.
We talk about stuff. Just so happens that we're putting it now on podcast, but this is basically what we do on almost 8 hours every day, guys. We just talk about stuff, how to do them for certain industries, for certain clients, for our own businesses, strategies, etc., etc., etc. And really, the only way we can do that is when we know, enough about that particular topic that we are talking about.
Yeah. And then the last one was, when do you say, okay, it's time to give it up for now?
Yeah, it's within that answer already.
It is.
Yeah. So again, the financials, obviously, financials
Yeah.
is king. Sales is king. If no money is coming in, that's no longer a business. It's a liability.
Mhm.
So if money will not allow it, unfortunately, it's not even up to you.
Yeah.
You really need to look into the possibility of closing down. Doesn't matter how much fighting spirit you have, if the money's not coming in, it'd be a problem.
I agree.
And then again, going back to my point earlier, as the entrepreneur who's spent years and years and years in this particular business, particular industry, I trust that you will see the opportunity, even if it's not exactly the opportunity that you're looking to or you're looking at, to present itself when you need to. So that's really the only answer that I can give. As far as a business that's not doing well right now, again, before you even consider closing it down, try to make sure that you have checked every possible angle
Mhm.
that you can possibly look at.
Yeah.
Okay, the old saying, turn over every rock, look under every tree, whatever. So do all of that, and then only then, when you've done all of that, and you think still nothing is changing,
Mhm.
then yeah, I guess you can say, I'm afraid it's time to pull the plug.
Yeah. And it's not really a bad thing per se. Like, a lot of businesses, a lot of people have failures of businesses. That doesn't define their future success. So yeah, in of course, there's a good quote saying that in times of crisis there's opportunity. So that shouldn't
Yeah,
let
doesn't
them
mean if you
down.
fail now you're gonna fail forever.
Exactly.
Sometimes this may be the reason why you're gonna find your next success.
Exactly.
It's a pretty good part to end on.
Yeah.
Pretty good note to end on.
Yeah. So I think we should end it there. Thank you guys for still listening, and also thank you for the side hustlers.
Yeah, side
for-
hustlers, you guys are amazing. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Hopefully next time we'll like collaborate on something or.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I'd love that. I'd
Yeah.
love to have you guys on the show.
Okay, so that's episode 3, guys. Thank you again for listening. Until next time.
Yeah, this is RP.
This is Chris.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.